Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Well, good morning, everyone, and a good Friday to all of you. We made it. We made it through the week. You made it through the week. Congratulations to all of you. Give yourself a round of applause. This is O'Connor and Company. It is 5:07 in the morning on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor. Today, joining me, as she does every Friday, Patrice Onwuka. Hello,
Happy
Patrice.
Friday. Good morning and happy Friday, Andrew.
Happy Friday, and it is a good Friday. We got a great show as we always do. Fridays are just so much fun here on O'Connor and Company. Great lineup of guests. Going to be joined by Rob Gordon. He's with the Western Caucus Foundation. I've known Rob for a number of years to talk about a fun topic. Fun, interesting. You're going to find it compelling. The weaponization of the Endangered Species Act turns 50 this year, Patrice. And we're going to talk about the ESA with him. We talked yesterday, Patrice, about this situation down in Prince William County, the server farm that they're trying to build between a state park and the Manassas Battlefield. We're going to have David Duncan, who's the CEO of the American Battlefield Trust, joining us as well. Nizam Ali, son of Ben's Chili Bowl founder Ben Ali, and an old friend of mine. Nizam is coming on. Last night was the celebration of his mother, Virginia Ali's 90th birthday party.
Wow.
I was there for that, and it was a great night. And we got listen. The Commanders are playing this weekend.
All right.
And Brian Weinstein is going to be joining us to talk about that. So we're very, very excited. You never know what's going to happen in the game. So Patrice, listen, this is why I love coming on with you, and the same reason why I love coming on with Julian and Mercedes. I mean, I love talking policy with you because you, like me, are a policy wonk, and I mean that in the best way.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Yes. So it's and I love talking about your latest research. So you've got this study. IWF has this study about this, and it's something I've been also seeing teased elsewhere, which is this issue of we are becoming a nation of renters. And as someone who's looking at possibly building a house, sort of dealing with the choices. Talk about what your research is finding.
Sure. So this was a piece I wrote maybe a day or two ago called "The Math of Homeownership Equals the Loss of the American Dream." Not my research, but actually I'm reporting more,
Sure.
and pulling together some different threads of research that have really just come out, and they're really disturbing numbers, Andrew, around the impact of fighting inflation. So we know that the Federal Reserve has been raising rates, and this week they decided not to raise rates again, thank goodness. But it has put the entire housing market on ice.
Sure.
Now it is actually far more affordable to continue to rent. For example, the average monthly new mortgage payment is 52% higher than the average apartment rent. So
Right.
if you are about to take out a mortgage, buy a house before the end of the year, you want to be in a new home for the new year, it's going to cost you 52% more.
Wow.
A third of home buyers are first-time home buyers, and this is actually below the historical average.
Yeah.
So obviously, first-time home buyers are priced out of the market right now. But even folks like you who may want to build a house, maybe trade up to a new house, or frankly trade down, maybe empty nesters trying to move and sell their homes, they can't afford to trade their 2-3% interest rate for 7, 8, 9%. And so now what you have is not just a housing market that is on ice right now, but in the long term, the millennials and the Gen Zers, they are realizing they may not be able to get into the market for a number of years, and that's delaying hitting that generational milestone of homeownership, of forming a family, having families. And so that's why the American dream seems out of touch. And just to put a fine point on this, the American dream now costs $3.5 million.
Wow.
So if you want to buy a house, get married, have 2 kids, have health care, cars, and put your kids through school, you're going to be spending $3.5 million. It's the highest on record.
Here's the thing that gets me. All of those things on that list that you just went through, all of them have one thing in common in terms of the price drivers. So much of this is government interference in that, and government policies, regulatory policies. As I said, we're going to be joined by Rob Gordon in a little bit, who's going to talk about the Endangered Species Act. Things like the regulations that impact uses of property get into that. Issues of zoning and how they manipulate the marketplace there. Regulations on how you can build this. Listen, I'm not someone who's against housing standards. I mean, I think you need, housing standards for safety and things.
Yeah, you don't want your house to fall down.
You don't want your house to fall down. But on the other hand, you don't want to have to spend extra for a stove or a refrigerator. I just had to buy a new refrigerator this week, Patrice.
Is it energy efficient?
Well, that's just it, right? This is the whole thing, is that you go out there and it's all about what I want is I want a refrigerator that works. I don't want a refrigerator that because of the standards of the EPA has to have all this electronic gookery inside it to make it to make it work in a more efficient manner, and then it'll break down, right? All of these. I'm sorry to sort of digress here for a second, but so I was talking with somebody. The fridge that was in our house was 20 years old when it finally gave up the ghost. I was talking to somebody at one of the big box retailers where I was. They had a property where they found a fridge that had been made by RCA in the 80s that was still working. And so things were built to last. But when you have these standards, right? And this is what I mean by this. And it's like what happened with VW years ago, right? The EPA creates a standard that says we want diesel engines to go 1,000 miles on a tank of gas. I'm exaggerating to make a point. Go far without gas, have enough power and efficiency, and also not pollute. And there's no way to do it scientifically. The physics and the physiochemistry just doesn't work. And so what did VW do? They fudged the numbers. Anyway, with EPA, they put these standards on refrigerants to sort of deal with the ozone layer and climate change and other things. And it requires these microchips inside of these circuit boards that go bad. And so now a refrigerator lasts 5 years, 10 years, maybe if you're lucky.
How is that environmentally friendly if you're having to replace the refrigerator so quickly?
And my point is, in the end, it drives up the cost. You put these things in there and all the costs go up. You build a house here in Montgomery County and you can't put in a gas stove. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just sort of on my curmudgeonly old man line this morning. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patrice.
The point is, though, we are hearing about the moderation in inflation. And yes, we've seen inflation not rising as fast on different household goods. That's good, right?
Yeah.
But rent, and housing costs, shelter costs are the biggest drivers of inflation. We're actually spending more on average to keep a roof over our head, whether you're a homeowner or you're a renter, than we did before. And that has actually been sticky. I was looking at the numbers. So don't expect inflation to go back down to Trump era levels anytime soon because of housing costs being so high. It's like a chicken and egg situation we're in right now.
And let's remember that the rents lag behind the mortgage payments in terms of their increase. Yeah. So if somebody is borrowing money to buy a property that they're going to then turn around and rent out, if their mortgage payments, if their financing payments are 50% higher, you can be sure that down the road rents are going to go up, right? The folks who are locked into mortgage payments now who are renting out properties, they can afford that. And so anyway, rents are going to go up. Listen, we will continue in just a moment, but first it is 5:15 a.m.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
WMAL. Making sense of mainstream media because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Patrice, I have a real hard time with politics as performance art. Things that are done that it's like, all right, we need to, right. We just did a story about very serious issues having to do with what quintessentially the American dream, how we achieve the things that we want. And yet you've got folks who just want to, the folks who claim to be Satanists, right? And listen, I don't buy it, by the way. I don't buy it. Maybe there are a handful of people who are legitimately worshiping Satan, but if you come out there and you say that you are, and I'm going to say this, I do mean this. I'm sure I'm going to offend some Satanists out there who probably already don't like WMAL and don't like O'Connor and Company. I'm sure Larry's not going to care about this. But if you say that you're a Satanist, you're really not a Satanist. I guarantee that you're doing it because it's the shock value. Oh yeah, I worship. I can't even say the word Baphomet. The statue of Baphomet. So anyway, these so-called Satanists, like the so-called Palestinians, the so-called Satanists. They put up a display in the Iowa State Capitol. They applied.
Yes.
By the way, the other reason why I say that they don't exist is because this so-called Satanist group in Iowa doesn't have a physical address. It's just sort of it's
online,
all virtual.
Yeah.
But now a military veteran is claiming he decapitated the head of a statue on Thursday, which, by the way, also, if I'm a Satanist, I would think, oh, that's great, because it's a decapitation. It's like the sacrifice of our statue. Michael Cassidy, a former Navy pilot and Christian, claims that he beheaded the statue and threw the head in a trash can before turning himself into the police. Good for him. By the way, it was a spangly, mirrory disco ball head of this situation. I mean,
like a cow.
You're going to get to the next part of the story, which is the other just creepy part of it.
Well, the whole thing is creepy to begin with. And I said this on Chris Planch's TV show the other night, that this is intentional. This is strategic. The Satanists have wanted to remove any sort of Jewish or Christian demonstrations on government grounds. Yeah. So if you can't get them out one way, you get them out the other, which is to be as egregious and as provocative as possible and put a Satan worshiping display up, and then it'll cause everybody to be in uproar, and then the powers that be will say, you know what, no displays for anybody. There'll be the no displays Nazis. And it would just eliminate all of them. So I think that's what the point of this was. While I don't co-sign destroying property.
Absolutely.
That's not yours. Really I can understand why this brave veteran did what he did. And hey, he turned himself into the police right after. So it's not like he did it and hid his face. He said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. This is my conscience and my belief, and I'm going to take it down. He reminds me of the biblical judges who were raised up by the Lord in the Bible to destroy the temples, to destroy the pagan worship, and to cleanse the country of the people of Israel from all of their satanic and pagan worship. That's what this reminds me of.
You raise an important point, which is this issue of, for many, many years, it was simply, it was the ACLU of the world that was saying you can't have these displays on government property. And they would say, well, what if Satanists wanted to do this? And then all of a sudden, shocker of shockers, the Satanists working at a virtual and I'm going to say this, right? I'm not going to say that it's the ACLU that's doing this, but I am going to say that it is secular humanists who are out there who are merely, again, it's performative for them. It's like they're trying to make the point, so they're going to go down here. There's a really other disturbing part of this before we go to a break here. This is disturbing to me, this discussion of the First Kids Satan Club. That's bizarre to me. And again, some of it I think is performative. The after-school Satan Club is coming to Tennessee. How about no?
Yeah. Listen, they are after our kids.
Yes.
Let's not forget the brand Balenciaga. Their head designer was a Satanist, and they were using these satanic emblems with using kids in their designs and their promotion of their stuff. Target Pride stuff this summer as well. One of the designers there ties to like the Satanist movement. So it's not a stretch to say Satan is after our kids, literally.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at their national website here of the after-school Satan clubs. Proselytization is not our goal. We're not interested in converting kids to Satanism. After-school Satan clubs will focus on free inquiry and rationalism. Okay, then call it a free inquiry and rationalism club. I have no problem with skeptics clubs. I have no problem with rational, clubs of rationality. But couching it in this is just it's so disturbing. By the way, so I'm just, as you Google this,
Yeah.
Again, why I think that these organizations are not real is because there's a name here. Oh, good. Lucien Greaves, which is, right. The spokesperson is Lucien Greaves. That is not a real name. I'm sorry. That's not a real name. That's a fake name of somebody who again is, anyway, this is just nutty. We've got so much more to get to right now. It's 5:20. Hey, there we go. So listen, I'm Andrew Langer in on O'Connor and Company with Patrice Onwuka. We're talking about this situation with the satanic displays. I'd made this statement about how it was performative art, that I don't believe that these Satanists are really Satanists. And I go back and I pull up this guy's Wikipedia page. And yes, I know Wikipedia is not to be trusted. Lucien Greaves is the spokesman and co-founder of the Satanic Temple. Real name, Douglas Mesner. As I said, take on these fake names. I don't want to read this. Greaves and his colleagues envisioned the Satanic Temple as a poison pill in the church-state debate. Their idea was that Satanists asserting their rights and privileges where religious agendas have been successful in imposing themselves upon public affairs could serve as a reminder that such privileges are for everybody and can be used to serve an agenda beyond current narrow understanding of a religious agenda. Greaves does not worship Satan, nor do followers of the Satanic Temple. Rather, contemporary satanic beliefs focused on personal sovereignty, independence, and freedom of will. So it's all a front. It's all performative art. It is not really any religion. It should not be looked at as such. No, but there probably are some Satanists out there who are probably really creepy, disturbing people. By the way, I'm just going to say this. This also underscores to me the uselessness of a lot of folks in the libertarian movement. A lot of folks that I consider myself a small L libertarian, but so many of them just completely useless because, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patrice, your thoughts here about fake Satanists.
They are fake, but here's what's real.
Yes.
They're trying to push a progressive agenda. So I'm just scrolling back in their timeline on their Twitter, their X account, and they're pushing abortion, pro-abortion, they're calling it reproductive rights, satanic reproductive rights. They're pushing condom use with the Supreme Court justices' faces on them. And then they're doing these clubs where they're pushing things like teaching kids how to do STEM projects. So they're trying to create these communities where they instill progressive policies, but the satanic name is just kind of that seems cool, that seems interesting. They just want to become another Democratic power center the way Black Lives Matter use certain situations to become to register Democrats to get Biden elected. This is actually probably what they're trying to do, become a power center.
Here's the thing. I have great respect for skeptics like Penn Jillette who sort of lead with that. We should be questioning authority. We should be questioning the power structure. I believe in this. We should approach things rationally. Anyway, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the Jill Biden video. It is 5:30 a.m.
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Well, hi there, everybody, and happy Friday to all of you. I'm Andrew Langer. This is O'Connor and Company. Hello, Patrice. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, and what whimsical music. I love
Yes, Michael was asking me as we came in today about Christmas music today. So I've got some things that I've recommended. But let me ask you, Patrice, is it a better Friday because it is the holiday season?
It does add that extra A into the Friday. Yes. The joy and the fun.
We've got a great show. By the way, it's 5:37 here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. The next hour, we got Rob Gordon, old colleague of mine, to talk about the 50th anniversary of the Endangered Species Act. He's got a report out on the failures of the ESA. I think you're going to really appreciate this. David Duncan from the American Battlefield Trust is going to talk to us about their perspective on this server farm fight that's going on, data center fight that's going on down in Prince William County we talked about yesterday. Virginia Ali, the wife of, actually the founder, one of the co-founders of Ben's Chili Bowl, along with her husband Ben Ali, she turns 90 this weekend. There was a big celebration last night. Nizam Ali is going to join us from Ben's Chili Bowl, and Bram Weinstein is going to join us to talk about the Commanders game this weekend. Patrice, did you get a chance, as we're talking about holiday music, did you get a chance to check out this White House Christmas video that the First Lady's office put out?
Unfortunately, I did. My eyes could not unsee the insanity of these wacko people running around the White House, and frankly, the wacko, cheap-looking decorations at the White House.
That was another conversation. A fever dream to me. I think Emily Burkholder put it best. I was saying it was like something out of Stanley Kubrick. She said, no, it's like District 1 from the Hunger Games, which I think was great. Wait, hold on. Here's the music, by the way. Let's hear the music for a second. Here, Michael. Thank you. Hold on. Let me. All right, time out for a second. Mm-hmm. Patrice, does that sound Christmassy to you?
Well, if you're in a hotel lobby in D.C., maybe. Although that could also be just a regular Friday night kind of lobby music. I'm not mad at it. I'm mad at the video that accompanied it.
All right, hold on for a second. No, we got to ping on this for a second because you hit a whole new realm here in terms of this. I missed the Trump Hotel. I'm not going to lie. I missed the Trump Hotel because it was a great place to go and hang out and see everybody. It was some place where you could run into people. What I hated about the Trump Hotel was the lobby music and the constant, relentless lobby music. And that's exactly what this music is. It is relentless lobby, Trump Hotel lobby music.
It really is.
So, but now we understand there was this group that did this dance group, Doran's Dance. And I didn't think anything of it again, except for the weird masks again, which were disturbing again in a Kubrick way. And Wokeness, the Twitter account, they write, breaking. The group behind the viral Christmas video is a radical anti-white group called Doran's Dance. I mean, right, because everything has to be about ideology. So of course you're going to go to this Doran's Dance group. On the group website, calls for defunding the police, abolishing prisons, and even quotes the Marxist terrorist Angela Davis. The site has an entire section dedicated to anti-white literature because, of course, they would. That's exactly what they would do here. Is have this. I mean, I am not surprised. Your thoughts here.
It's not at all surprising now that you understand who these people are. I mean, listen, they may be. Physically, their performances may be, interesting and engaging, but that's not appropriate for the White House display when their ideology, what they're pushing for, is divisive. Especially since Biden said that he was going to be the unifier in chief, and instead he's bringing people in who are pushing an agenda that is everything but divisive. It's about equity. It's about you are an oppressor because you're white, Andrew, and a man and a cis man on top of it, and I'm the oppressed because I'm a black woman and I'm an immigrant. And no, that's not the case. We are equals and we are colleagues, and so we don't need to inject race and gender and this hierarchy of oppression. Let's celebrate the fact that they were all doing better, except because of Biden's inflation.
But here's what I don't get, and I appreciate Heather putting this up here for us, which is this group's website and the screen caps from the group's website. And let's remember something for a second, Patrice. This is a dance troupe. They dance for a living. This is what they do. And yet they have sections on their website: end gender-based violence, pardon black woman imprisoned for voting, defund the police. Common questions on the website. What is white privilege? What is systemic racism? You are dancers. No, listen, I get it. Art can be political. Art's supposed to be political. But I don't need a library on anti-whiteness from a team of dancers. I don't need to be lectured about this. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're shaking your head.
Well, yeah. I mean, all of this is just, again, people who have probably advanced degrees that they can't afford to pay for, and they're hoping Biden will forgive their student loan payments. But their degrees are in made-up garbage around gender and race. Listen, I'm not going to deny the history of race in this country. It was brutal at times, and certainly has held black people back at times. But I'm also not going to deny the incredible progress that America has made towards blacks and all people, and the progress that blacks have made in this country. But these folks want you to think that it's back in, I don't know, the end of slavery at best. They want to deny. And defunding police is not going to help black communities that are the prime targets of a lot of the crime today. It's just ridiculous. But people who are paid to peddle this garbage, and they're paid handsomely. Frankly,
they are. And listen, all I know is in this story here, the first lady said, the talented tappers of Doran's dance performing their playful interpretation of the Nutcracker Suite. Now, I love the Nutcracker Suite. In fact, Tchaikovsky's score for that ballet is one of my favorites, especially the beginning scene, scene 2 of Act 1, one of my favorite pieces of classical music ever. I did not hear anything in that music that was, now the costumes may have been an interpretation of the Nutcracker Suite, but there was no interpretation. And I don't mind a jazzy interpretation of, as I said yesterday, the Klezmer Nutcracker is a great album. That's klezmer music. It's Central European music. But anyway, it is just nuts. We've got more to come, more to get to here on the show. It's 5:44 on. So, Patrice, these are not stories that I like to hear very much at all, especially when they are right in the backyard of our radio station here at WMAL. Armed robbery yesterday at Friendship Heights. I mean, this is just around the corner of the Verizon store. We've been talking about this neighborhood's been in transition for quite a bit. They're doing construction around here. The Mazza Gallery Mall was torn down. They're doing rebuilding. So it's so funny because when I drive up Wisconsin Avenue to come to the station, all of my visual cues have changed. So I don't know where I'm supposed to turn anymore.
It's jarring.
It really is jarring, especially, I remember going to Mazza Gallery years ago because anyway.
Too.
Here is Fox 5 reporting on this robbery yesterday.
Video just in tonight of an armed robbery in Northwest D.C. Look at this. The suspects swarm in and force employees and customers to put their hands up, ordering the victims into a storage room at gunpoint. This happened Tuesday afternoon at the Verizon store on Wisconsin Avenue in Friendship Heights. That's in Northwest D.C. The suspects took off with phones and wallets from the victims. They stole other devices from the store and made off with $80 in cash.
Heather, you're not making me feel good about staying at the hotel nearby on New Year's Eve to do my New Year's Day show. But I mean, listen, this is scary stuff. The suspects storm in, force employees and customers to put their hands up while ordering the victims into the storage room at gunpoint. The five suspects took phones and wallets from the victims and walked away with $80 in cash from the store. I mean, this is. But brazen. Go ahead.
It's brazen, but it's DC, and it's the randomness of these.
That's
not like this only happens in Ward 7 or certain wards. It is across the city, and for those who are outside of the DC area, don't know this area too well, like Friendship Heights is not exactly one of it's probably one of the highest income zip codes in DC, and so usually you don't see this kind of behavior, but these criminals know that the city is not going to penalize them. There's not a huge police presence in this area. And so why not target at an opportune moment this area? And by the way, Fox 5, they had a brazen robbery, some crime that happened last week right outside of their studio too. So again, it is that the randomness of this kind of violence, Andrew, is what makes people who live in the suburbs not want to come into the city, not want to go to sporting events, not want to go to the restaurants and hang out, and that's hurting the city economically.
This is why the Caps and the Wizards are contemplating, and they're moving down this road of moving out of the city. I mean, you're right. It's the randomness of it all. So as I said yesterday, as I'm driving in the city and finding places to park, it's the second time yesterday, or the day before yesterday was the second time in as many weeks that I pulled into a space to park, and I was a little. And I'm right. It's not nervous about personal, violence against me, though a story like this makes me nervous. But it's the issue of car break-ins. I pull into a space and there's broken glass where somebody had broken into a car. And the same, up on Capitol Hill, the same thing happened because, that's the other part of it. As you said, it's not Ward 7, it's not Ward 8, but it's criminals coming into areas that are more affluent. Why? Because they know there are targets of opportunity, and they know that the idea that they may be prosecuted is minimal. And that's a very, very scary place to be. So as we go down here, this is, it's funny because we're talking about this. Oh, I'm sorry. This is where I wanted to go back to. This is me thinking out loud, Patrice. Because you're right. It also gets into the fact, not that Montgomery County is really any better in terms of prosecution and wokeness. Probably D.C. is a little bit more favorable towards the criminal element. But the point is that Friendship Heights, right there on the Montgomery County, D.C. border, very affluent Chevy Chase. You got folks coming over here. So, you get there and maybe there is a slight edging to having doing the crime here as opposed to there. So it's just astounding to me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the D.C. City Council wanted to greenlight a crime bill that probably would have encouraged even more crime. The kibosh was put on that bill, but sad part is a lot of these elected officials don't seem to think that holding perpetrators accountable is the right solution. They want more money. More money for what? If you're going to defund police, if you're not going to support the police, if you're not going to give police take the handcuffs off of the law enforcement and then ensure that there's prosecution, what do you need more money for? And frankly, what do you need to be in office for? I used to live in D.C. and I will tell you, as a single woman, this stuff would freak me out. As a married woman who drives to the station right around the corner from where this is at 4 a.m. in the morning, it freaks me out. So you know what? For those who need to do whatever it takes to protect yourself, I completely understand.
It's one of those things where in her press conference pushing back against what was going on, what's going on with the Caps and the Wizards, Muriel Bowser was asked about crime, and someone asked her about crime in Virginia. She goes, well, I don't know about crime in Virginia. I know about crime in D.C. I'm like,
really? Well, what are you doing about crime in D.C.?
That was exactly my reaction. I'm like, yeah, this is not, I don't think you know much about crime in D.C., Madam Mayor. In fact, it was anyway. It's a situation. Oh yeah, thank you, Michael. Go ahead and play that.
Look, I'm the D.C. mayor. I'm not a expert on their crime, but that traffic is notorious, so people know about it. And I think which lines go to that station?
Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow. So every line goes to Gallery Place, right? Red, blue, orange, and yellow. Yellow and green. Is that right? I think that's right.
I may have heard somebody
She
quip.
should at least know that.
I may have heard somebody quip last night when. Anyway, I don't want to throw her under the bus. You talk about traffic. My daughter, I got introduced to DC traffic at rush hour last night in a very real way, and I was not impressed at all.
Listen, one final point, Andrew. If the Wizards and the Caps leave Chinatown is going to become a war zone that it used to be like 2 decades ago.
Right.
That is the
3 decades ago.
It is 3 decades. It's pretty scary now because there's so many shops that are gone. The Caps and the Wizards are the only thing keeping that part of the city alive. It would be devastating.
It really would be. It's 5:53 here on WMAL.
Hey, it's Brett from